Felix, his surname kept deliberately private by friends, existed on the margins of that day the way some people do, not absent, not central, but quietly present. A steady figure offering support from a respectful distance. It was said that Felix was among those who understood what was unfolding before the world ever noticed it. That he stood close enough to sense the gravity of the moment, yet far enough to honor the silence that surrounded it. She would want perhaps a bit of a career for herself, something shaped by her own interests and her own time. After all, it is an incredible burden being a working member of the royal family, a weight that does not always announce itself with ceremony, but settles slowly, day after day. Expectation after expectation. And so there came a silence that spoke louder than words. There are moments in royal history that do not arrive with trumpets or flashing cameras, not with balcony appearances or official proclamations, but with stillness. No press conference, no carefully worded decree, no immediate explanation. Just a subtle shift, almost imperceptible at first, one that leaves palace corridors murmuring long after doors have closed and footsteps have faded. Lady Louise Windsor had always lived on the edges of expectation. Never fully at the center of the spotlight, yet never entirely outside its glow either, she occupied a liminal space that few truly understood. She was the royal many admired precisely because she did not demand attention. Calm, composed, quietly capable, she embodied a kind of dignity that did not need to be announced. But behind the gentle smiles, the understated public appearances, and the careful discretion, something had been changing for a long time. And when that change finally surfaced, it stunned even the king himself. This is not a story about rebellion in the dramatic tabloid sense. It is not about defiance shouted from palace gates or tradition shattered in a single blow. It is about a choice, deeply personal, emotionally layered, and powerful enough to ripple through the monarchy without ever raising its voice. A decision that challenged centuries of expectation simply by refusing to be loud. Before we go further, pause for a moment. Stories like this, layered, human, and rarely told, deserve room to breathe, deserve patience, deserve attention. And now music, step inside the silence. From the moment she was born, Lady Louise was different from the royal figures the public believed it understood. She was not raised to command attention or trained to dominate headlines. There was no sense that she must one day carry the weight of spectacle on her shoulders. Instead, she grew up learning how to listen, how to observe, how to be quietly present in a world designed for display. As the daughter of Prince Edward and Sophie, Countess of Wessex, her upbringing was intentionally gentle by royal standards. Her parents made deliberate choices, shielding her from relentless media exposure, choosing countryside calm over palace pageantry, privacy over performance. While other royal children became symbols almost before they could speak, Louise became something else entirely. She became a person first, a royal second. Those who knew her spoke often of her introspection. Thoughtful, reserved, deeply aware of the weight her surname carried, she seemed, even as a child, to understand that royalty was not merely a privilege but a responsibility. One that could quietly shape a life or quietly limit it. Somewhere along the way, without drama and without announcement, Lady Louise began asking herself a question few royals ever dare to articulate, even in private. What if my happiness does not align with the crown's expectations? The monarchy she grew up within was not the same one she was born into. By the time she reached adulthood, the royal family had endured fractures that played out in public view, reckonings that forced uncomfortable conversations, and losses that reshaped the emotional landscape of the institution. The death of Queen Elizabeth II marked a turning point not just for the nation, but for Louise herself. The Queen had been a symbol of constancy, a living assurance that tradition would always hold, that continuity was inevitable. With her passing, something fundamental shifted. Stability gave way to uncertainty, and the future, once so clearly mapped, suddenly felt open and therefore frightening. King Charles ascended the throne carrying not only legacy but pressure, the accumulated weight of decades spent waiting, preparing, and being scrutinized. His reign signaled evolution, but also heightened expectation. Every royal beneath him was now part of a monarchy searching for relevance in a world that questioned inherited authority more openly than ever before. For Lady Louise, grief became a lens through which everything else came into focus. Watching history unfold from so close forced her to confront a truth that many people manage to keep at arm's length. Life is finite, even behind palace walls, and time once lost cannot be reclaimed. Not even by royalty. No one ever formally told Lady Louise what her role should be. There was no meeting, no written plan, no explicit instruction. That was the unspoken part, the quiet understanding that she would step up when needed, support the institution when called upon, and fulfill her place without complaint. Expectations have a way of pressing inward, even when they are never spoken aloud. Public appearances increased, questions followed, commentators speculated endlessly about her future. Would she become a working royal or remain a private citizen? Would she be an asset to the crown or a background presence? Every silence became a headline, every absence fueled a theory. What the public did not see was the emotional toll of existing in perpetual anticipation, the sense that her life was perpetually on hold, waiting for permission to begin. With each passing year, the internal conflict deepened. Lady Louise was not rejecting duty, she was wrestling with identity. University life offered her something the palace never could: anonymity. For the first time, she was not Lady Louise Windsor, but simply Louise, a student among students, free to explore ideas without the constant echo of history. In lecture halls and quiet libraries, she found space to reflect. Education became more than an academic pursuit. It became a sanctuary, a place where her mind could roam freely and her future did not feel prewritten. Yet education also sharpened her awareness. The more she learned, the clearer her inner conflict became. Knowledge did not distract her from royal responsibility, it illuminated the cost of it. She began to understand that choosing a different path was not an act of defiance, it was an act of honesty, and honesty, within royal circles, can be the most unsettling force of all. The decision did not arrive in a single moment. There was no dramatic confrontation, no tearful declaration, no sudden break. Lady Louise's choice formed slowly, quietly over time, through reflection, private conversations, and long moments alone. She understood what stepping back would mean: fewer appearances, less visibility, a quieter role within an institution built on continuity and presence. And perhaps most painfully, the possibility of disappointing people she loved. King Charles, in particular, embodied both tradition and transition. His reign depended on balance, on honoring the past while carefully preparing for the future. Louise's choice threatened to complicate that balance. But she also understood something equally important. Living a life that was not truly hers would be a betrayal far greater than stepping aside. And so, with calm resolve rather than defiance, she chose herself. When the palace learned the truth, the reaction was not explosive. It was subdued, almost stunned. Within royal walls, news travels quickly, but emotions move carefully. Lady Louise was not abandoning her family. She was not criticizing the monarchy. She was redefining her relationship with it. That distinction mattered, even if it was difficult to absorb. King Charles listened. Those close to him describe his response as thoughtful, restrained, and deeply human. He understood the weight of duty better than most people ever could. Understanding, however, does not erase disappointment. This was not a scandal, not a controversy to be managed. It was something more unsettling, a quiet reminder that even the most carefully structured institution cannot dictate the heart. To the public, almost nothing was said. No official statement clarified her future. No dramatic headline confirmed her decision outright, but absence has a language of its own. Royal watchers noticed patterns changing, expectations dissolving, gaps appearing where certainty once lived. Speculation filled the vacuum, but Lady Louise remained silent by design. She did not owe the world an explanation for choosing authenticity over obligation. In that silence, she reclaimed something exceedingly rare in royal life: control. Her choice challenged a long-held assumption that strength in royalty must look like visibility, sacrifice, and unwavering presence. Her strength looked different. It was internal, quiet, rooted in self-knowledge rather than ceremony. By stepping back, she demonstrated that loyalty to the crown does not require self-erasure, that service can exist without surrendering identity. For younger generations watching closely, her decision resonated deeply, not as a rejection of tradition,